A very good afternoon to you. Thanks for choosing Newzroom Afrika. Let's start off your sport. And in fact, the entire bulletin is going to be focused on this. Senegal captain Kalidou Koulibaly became the latest star to head to Saudi Arabia yesterday as he joined Al-Hilal from Chelsea. There's been a big sell-off from the Blues to the Saudi Pro League. Ngolo Kante joined French teammate Karim Benzema last week. And there are reports that goalkeeper Edouard Mendy is reportedly close to joining Al-Ahli, yes, formerly of Peter Musamane's team. Meanwhile, Moroccan winger Hakim Ziyech is on the brink of a move to Al-Nassr. It's the latest in the Saudi football and sporting drive. To discuss this more, sports journalist Nkululeko Nkewu. A very good afternoon. Thanks for chatting to us here on Newzroom Afrika.
Hello, Venom.
So, some have cried foul over the sell-off from Chelsea to Saudi, because of the PIF's links to Clearwater Capital.
Yeah.
Is it justified?
Yeah, I think there is a legitimate reason to be concerned, especially for English Premier League teams, because they are constrained in terms of buying and selling players. Chelsea seem to have found a shortcut. That's my team, actually, ironically, since I was 9 years old.
Wow, okay.
They've found a shortcut to sell off players, so that, because financial fair play, in essence, is about how much money are you making in selling players, and as a result of that, then you can buy players. So if you are overspending, you get punished for it. So Chelsea have found a vehicle in their links with Saudi to say, okay, you guys buy Mendy, buy Kalidou Koulibaly, buy Hakim Ziyech, buy Ngolo Kante. If that equals to 300 million, then it means we have 300 million that reflects on our statements, which allows us to buy other players as well, because they spent a lot of money last season with young players like Mikhail Mudryk. So I think they would have been on the back foot in terms of financial fair play. This allows them to be able to buy more players with that relationship that they have with the PIF, the Saudi PIF.
Chelsea is just one club, but there are other clubs that have also sold players. Karim Benzema had a massive welcome to Al-Ittihad. Actually, before we even get into that conversation, let's actually just take a look now at how French World Cup winner and Ballon d'Or winner Karim Benzema was welcomed in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia.
Amazing fans.
Nkululeko, this looks more like a concert, not a player unveiling.
It's a stellar welcoming, but I think on the point that we're discussing, I don't think that there's been one single club that has sold half of their quality players, not half actually, but a significant number of their quality players to the Saudi clubs. That's why people are raising, especially English Premier League clubs, they are raising suspicion. Because it gives them an upper hand in terms of even in the competition, the English Premier League, because it's one club. And that's my club. I love Chelsea, but it's one club selling 4 or 5 players to Saudi Arabia. And they're selling it for only one reason and one reason only. Which is to boost their financial statements so that they can be eligible on the financial fair play side to be able to buy the players that they want. Karim Benzema is from Real Madrid. That's one club. And every other player, I think there's one player, Ruben Neves from Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's one club. It's not a sophisticated relationship where players are being sold to Saudi Arabia for reasons other than just selling players. So I think there's a reason why these clubs are suspicious about that. Karim Benzema, it makes sense that he would go to Saudi Arabia because he's won everything there is to be won. And he's over 30, so it makes sense that he would go there. I have no beef with that. He's a stellar player. We've watched him, we've enjoyed him. Let him go and enjoy his money in Saudi Arabia.
Chelsea, though, they did have a lot of players on their books, 53. They needed to get rid of some anyway. That would be the counter-argument, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. They would say that, but that's why I'm saying that it seems a sophisticated way in which one country is almost only interested in one club's players. There are so many players to be bought. You can buy an alternative to Ngolo Kante, a younger alternative to Ngolo Kante. Kalidou Koulibaly is 29, 30, 31. You could buy a 25-year-old centre-back who's rising. You can go to Manchester City, for example, and go and pay £80 million for their players. If you want us to believe that you're just buying players for the sake of buying players.
What's happening in Saudi Arabia at the moment, put Chelsea aside, because Saudi Arabia, behind this Vision 2030 of Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince in the region, has been, some say, using sports washing. We've seen it with golf, with football. Saudi Arabia.
China, when they wanted to make a splash and make an impact in football, they bought players. They knew that they needed to buy Hulk, Oscar. Carlos Tevez was the most expensive football player, or the highest paid football player for a while, because he went to China. So China, when they wanted to make a splash and let themselves known in the football world, they bought players. The MLS bought David Beckham. The Americans bought David Beckham from Real Madrid to LA Galaxy many moons ago. When they wanted their leagues to be known by people, they bought players. So you could argue that it's sports washing, but my argument would be that it is not sports washing. It is, in fact, a big country, a global player in this global space, saying this is what we want to be going forward. Whether or not they will be successful, I don't know. No one knows that, because you could argue that America wasn't that successful in becoming what they wanted to become, but they became a solid league, but they didn't get the numbers that they thought they were going to get. China, almost all of their foreign players have now moved on from that point, so it was a failed project. Maybe coinciding with the idea that they want to host the FIFA World Cup in 2030, maybe the splash and the rigorous attempts to buy players is in line with that thought, and maybe beyond 2030 they might go back to trying to develop players for their own country. But every single country with an intention to be watched by the eyes of the global community, they need to buy players. We're talking about them now on radio and television because that's exactly what they want us to do. They want us. The next question for the fan would be, how do I watch Cristiano Ronaldo? And that's exactly what they want us to ask ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Are the people that are going out now to get subscriptions in order to watch Saudi football a little bit akin to your early Bitcoin investors?
Absolutely. That's what they want. Whether or not they will be successful is a different story altogether. China wasn't successful because of the time zone difficulties, and Americans were not successful because of the time zone difficulty. That for them, prime time is an awkward time for us. Africa and Europe and other countries as well. With Saudi Arabia, it's interesting, and I'm interested to see how this is going to play out, because where it's 8 p.m. for them, it's probably 9 p.m. for other countries in Europe, or 10 p.m. for other countries in Europe. So when they play their matches at 6, we could watch them at 7 or 8 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. So I think that was a main factor for China and America, that they couldn't really sell that product because it plays at 3 p.m. in other countries, which is very awkward, countries that predominantly are known to follow football. So now that Saudi want to be the player in the space, and they don't have that limitation of a time zone, I want to see how that's going to play out. If they are serious, we will see in the fullness of time whether or not they are serious. We can see that they are serious with their financial, the way that they are investing with the players. We can see that they're serious, but only time will tell whether or not they just want this. So similar to Qatar. That Qatar bought PSG, and in their mind they wanted to host the World Cup. They hosted the World Cup. How does their league look like now? How does their domestic football, how is it perceived, their domestic football in the global space? So that's pretty much what they're trying to do. Sports washing is something that you're going to have to prove.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to stop you because unfortunately 10 minutes is just not enough to delve into all of the issues. Nkululeko Nkewu is a sports journalist chatting to us about Saudi Arabia and their massive push in football and upgrading their Saudi Pro League, hoping to become the 5th best league in the world.